1. Which of the following best describes the purpose of formative assessment in a learning environment? A. To evaluate the final product after a long period of learning. B. To provide immediate feedback for adjusting teaching and learning methods. C. To assess only the instructor's effectiveness. D. To record results for long-term documentation. 2. In the context of curriculum development, what is the first step when designing a new course? A. Identifying learning outcomes. B. Deciding on the assessment methods. C. Selecting teaching materials. E. Structuring the class schedule. 3. Which is the primary advantage of using active learning strategies in adult education? A. It allows students to work independently without guidance. B. It promotes deeper engagement with the material and encourages critical thinking. C. It reduces the need for instructor involvement. D. It minimizes the time needed for student assessments. 4. What is the role of communication in adult learning? A. To control the direction of the course. E. To encourage learners to passively absorb information. C. To foster collaboration and active participation. D. To simply deliver information without interaction. 5. What does the term scaffolding refer to in teaching practices? A. Providing learners with permanent answers to assignments. B. Offering temporary support to learners as they progress towards independence. C. Allowing learners to solve problems without guidance. D. Ensuring that no student is ever given additional support. 6. How can instructors assess prior knowledge in adult learners? A. By assigning complex tasks at the beginning of the course, through pre-assessments and diagnostic testing. C. By asking open-ended questions during lectures. D. By assuming all learners start with the same level of knowledge. 7. In terms of adult learning theory, what is the primary focus of andragogy? A. The application of formal teaching techniques. E. The development of self-directed learners who take responsibility for their education. C. The instructor-centered approach to teaching. D. The teaching of younger learners. 8. Which type of assessment involves observing learners as they engage with content in real time? A. Summative assessment. B. Formative assessment. C. Diagnostic assessment. D. Peer assessment. 9. What is one key characteristic of a learner-centered classroom? A. The instructor leads all discussions and decisions. B. Students are expected to be passive listeners. C. Learners take an active role in shaping the course and its content. D. The classroom is teacher-controlled with little learner involvement. 10. In terms of regulatory compliance, what is most important when developing a curriculum? A. Ensuring the curriculum aligns with current educational trends. B. Ensuring the curriculum adheres to relevant legal and institutional guidelines. C. Developing highly creative and flexible course materials. D. Ensuring the curriculum covers as many topics as possible. 11. Which of the following best describes the concept of self-directed learning? A. Learning where the instructor determines every aspect of the process. B. Learning that is initiated, guided, and evaluated by the learner. C. Learning that happens outside of any structured classroom. D. Learning that focuses only on theoretical knowledge. 12. What type of feedback is most effective during the learning process? A. Feedback that is given at the end of the course. B. Constructive, timely feedback that guides learners' progress. Feedback that is given only to the highest performing students. D. Feedback that is overly generalized and not specific to the learner's needs. 13. In terms of teaching adults, why is it important to consider their life experiences in curriculum design? Life experiences provide context for learning and can be valuable resources for application. B. Adult learners tend to have limited life experiences that should be disregarded. C. Life experiences are irrelevant to formal learning environments. D. It allows instructors to create courses that are based solely on personal preferences. 14. What is the main challenge of assessing learning in adult learners? A. Adults have limited attention spans. E. Adults may be reluctant to engage with the learning process. C. The diversity of experiences and learning styles can make it difficult to assess progress accurately. D. Adults prefer only written assessments. 15. In adult learning theory, what role does motivation play in the learning process? A. Motivation is irrelevant as long as the content is taught well. B. Motivation drives learners to actively participate and persist in the learning process. C. Motivation is only important for younger learners. D. Motivation decreases as adults get older. 16. What is the key difference between summative and formative assessment? A. Summative assessment occurs during the learning process. Formative assessment happens at the end. B. Summative assessment is typically used to determine final grades. Formative assessment is used to monitor progress. C. Summative assessment is always qualitative, while formative assessment is quantitative. D. There is no real difference. Both are used for the same purpose. 17. How can technology be used effectively in adult education? A. By replacing instructors entirely with software. By enhancing the learning experience through interactive and accessible platforms. C. By restricting all communication to email and online discussion boards. D. By creating passive learning environments where technology does all the teaching. 18. What should be considered when selecting assessment methods for adult learners? A. The ease of grading. B. The suitability of the method to the learning outcomes and the learner's needs. C. The instructor's preference for certain methods. D. The speed at which the assessment can be completed. 19. Which strategy is most effective in addressing diverse learning needs in adult education? A. Using a one-size-fits-all approach to teaching and assessment. B. Offering a variety of learning materials and methods to accommodate different learning styles. C. Standardizing all lessons to follow the same format. D. Ignoring learners' individual backgrounds and experiences. 20. How can mentoring techniques be incorporated into the learning process? A. By assigning mentors who provide one-time advice. B. By having mentors guide learners through the entire course, offering advice and feedback regularly. C. By only using mentors to provide feedback at the end of the course. D. By focusing solely on content delivery without involving mentorship. 21. Why is a curriculum that is aligned with clear learning outcomes important in adult education? It helps the instructor feel confident about their teaching abilities. It ensures that the learners know what they are expected to achieve and how to get there. C. It limits the flexibility of the course and restricts creativity. D. It allows for a standardized approach that works for every learner. 22. What does differentiated instruction mean in an adult learning context? A. Focusing on one method of instruction for all students. B. Tailoring teaching methods to address the varied needs, interests, and learning styles of adult learners. C. Ignoring students' individual needs and preferences. D. Using only traditional lectures for all lessons. 23. What is the primary benefit of peer assessments in adult learning environments? A. It allows learners to compare their work against others. B. It helps the instructor gauge overall class performance. C. It promotes self-reflection and critical thinking through feedback from peers. D. It allows learners to avoid taking responsibility for their learning. 24. What is a key component of effective instructional design for adult learners? A. Rigidly following a textbook without modification. B. Incorporating real-world examples and practical applications. C. Providing extensive lectures with minimal interaction. D. Limiting the use of technology to maintain tradition. 25. What is the role of self-reflection in adult learning? A. To focus on the mistakes made during the learning process. B. To encourage learners to evaluate their progress and identify areas for improvement. C. To punish learners for their shortcomings. D. To allow learners to blame others for their struggles. 26. How can instructors best support adult learners who have time constraints due to personal or professional commitments? A. By offering flexible scheduling and providing resources for self-paced learning. By assigning only lengthy assignments to ensure deep learning. C. By encouraging learners to drop out if they cannot meet deadlines. D. By ignoring learners' time constraints and focusing on the material. 27. Why is it important for assessments to be aligned with real-world skills in adult education? A. To ensure that learners have the knowledge needed for future career success. B. To maintain the tradition of formal education without practical application. C. To reduce the complexity of assessments. D. To evaluate learners in a theoretical context. 28. What is the best approach for supporting diverse learners in a single adult education classroom? A. Avoiding any adaptations and requiring all students to follow the same schedule. Providing personalized resources and accommodations based on individual needs. C. Asking learners to teach each other. D. Limiting the use of technology to avoid distraction. 29. What is the importance of collaborative learning in adult education? It helps learners memorize content more quickly. B. It fosters critical thinking, communication, and problem-solving skills. C. It minimizes the need for instructor involvement. D. It is only effective for younger learners.